brat. And he went to Fordham for 1 year, and then he got into University of Pennsylvania. I guess he had somebody to take the exams. No way. And he had somebody take his entrance exams? SATs or whatever. Yeah. Oh, Jesus. I even remember the name. Yeah, but I did his homework for him.
I'm highly educated. I went to the Wharton School of Finance.
I went to the Wharton School of Finance.
I went to the Wharton School of Finance.
I went to the Wharton School of Finance. I was a very fine student.
I've also heard I was first in my class at the Wharton School of Finance. And I used to say, excuse me, I went to the Wharton School of Finance. I said, excuse me, does that mean we're not going to make things anymore?
Well, we all remember how Citizen Trump perpetuated the birther lie about President Obama. He also questioned President Obama's intelligence, telling the Associated Press that he heard that Obama was a terrible student and he should show his school records. A few days later, the headmaster at Mr. Trump's own high school got an order from his boss to find Trump's school records and help bury them.
I am providing the committee today with several documents, copies of letters I wrote at Mr. Trump's direction that threatened his high school, colleges, and the college board not to release his grades or SAT scores.
For decades, Donald Trump has claimed he was at the top of his class at Wharton, one of the best students the school had ever seen, and that his professors immediately recognized his brilliance. But then came William T. Kelly, Trump's former marketing professor at Wharton. Kelly taught there for 31 years, from 1951 to 1982, and saw thousands of students pass through his classroom.
Bragging in no shortage of degree about how smart he is and also his educational bona fide. They spoke to an admissions officer who was there at the time named James Nolan. He says the acceptance rate in 1966 was at 50%, and it was even higher for transfers like Donald Trump, who went to Fordham first. Nolan also told the Post he was not impressed with Trump's intellect. I certainly was not struck by any sense that I'm sitting before a genius, certainly not a super genius. It was not very difficult to get into Wharton.
For 3 decades, from the 1970s until Kelly died in 2011, he told Frank DePrima the same thing whenever Trump's name came up. Donald Trump was the dumbest goddamn student I ever had. Not one of the worst, the dumbest. Kelly did not say it once out of frustration. He repeated it for 30 years. To him, it was not an insult, but a judgment from a professor who had taught thousands of students and never forgot the gap between Trump's confidence and his understanding.
By Trump saying it was the hardest school to get into, I wanted to see if that was true. It is not the hardest school to get into. This was the undergraduate school of finance at the University of Pennsylvania. At the time Trump went to University of Pennsylvania, the acceptance rate was more than 50%.
Stephen Colbert found the testimony. It came from Frank DePrima, Kelly's longtime friend, who publicly repeated what Kelly had told him privately for decades. DePrima's account spread because the quote was specific, the timeline was clear, and Kelly made the remark long before Trump entered politics. So this was not partisan. It was the professional judgment of a professor who had seen Trump sit in his classroom in the late 90s.
What's different here is that Trump has said he's done so great. Hardest school to get into, super genius stuff, that he'd heard he was first in his class. None of that was correct. In fact, the dean's list of 56 top students does not include Trump's name.
Kelly's judgment mattered because he repeated it for 30 years after teaching thousands of students. To him, Trump was not just a weak student. He was someone too arrogant to learn. And the records raised the same doubt. Trump was not on Wharton's 1968 dean's list or in the honors section. So when Trump claims he was at the top of his class, but both the records and his professors say otherwise, the story falls apart. He's dying.
The article also points out that Trump was not one of the top honorees at graduation, and he wasn't even on the dean's list. Now, a year earlier, Trump, he had this to say about Obama.
He was a terrible student. Terrible. He went to Occidental. I heard he was a terrible student. Not like, okay, I heard he was a bad student.
Kelly's judgment mattered because he repeated it for 30 years after teaching thousands of students. To him, Trump was not just a weak student. He was someone too arrogant to learn. And the records raised the same doubt. Trump was not on Wharton's 1968 dean's list or in the honors section. So when Trump claims he was at the top of his class, but both the records and his professor say otherwise, the story falls apart. And to me, God, what kind him and tool when he's in the army.
Well, Donald Trump has said for years that he is the top student at Wharton. Whenever people have questioned his intellect, he's referred to getting a degree, said it was the hardest school to get into. So essentially I wanted to see if that was true and find out what exactly happened in getting into Wharton.
Quick, if you haven't subscribed, hit the button. Already subscribed? You are the reason this exists. Here's what Trump cannot escape. Kelly formed this opinion long before Trump entered politics. He said it in the 1970s, repeated it through the 1980s, 1990s, and 2000s, and never changed his view. After 31 years of teaching thousands of students, Kelly did not remember Trump as merely beloved.